Well, one of the things we like to throw into our shows is going to be a little thing that we like to call the fun factoid of the day. So we're going to throw one out now. I know we were talking a lot about the PlayStation 5 and all. So I found something I thought was pretty interesting with the PlayStation. And I didn't know this until recently. I was looking some things up and such. And it's kind of like the PlayStation fans, whoever is, a big fan of PlayStation, really needs to, I would say a thank you to Nintendo for the PlayStation as it is today. I had no idea. I guess back in 1988, Nintendo and Sony were partnered up together doing they were trying to do a CD-ROM add-on for the Super Famicom over in Japan, which is the Super Nintendo in Japan. And they were working on that for a few years, and it was going to be called the PlayStation, I believe. Or at least one of the prototypes that they had eventually developed a few years later had PlayStation on it. So I believe it was going to be called the PlayStation.
And this was when, in the 80s?
88 is when they started working on it. And then the prototype didn't come out for like another 4 years, I think, or 3 years. But
so early 90s.
But eventually in 1991, for whatever reason, it took them 3 years, but Nintendo realized that the deal that they cut with Sony wasn't very good for them. It gave Sony almost complete control over it. So they were like, to hell with this. The head of Nintendo sent people over to make a deal with Philips, which was one of Sony's biggest rivals, and they ended up doing that. And they went to the CES in 91 in Vegas, and they were supposed to announce their partnership with Sony to create the Super Nintendo, CD-ROM add-on, Super Famicom CD-ROM add-on. And instead, when they went out on the podium, they announced their partnership with Philips, basically like flipping the bird to Sony.
Oh, shit.
Like in front of everybody. I mean, that's, just insulted them, So at that point, after that was when the head of Sony was like, we're just going to, do our own thing then, They negotiated with Nintendo about something, I guess to continue working on the CD-ROM thing for another year, and then they just totally stopped it. And then just went and took the PlayStation name and just jumped right into developing the PlayStation as we know it. And so I thought it was pretty interesting that Nintendo pretty much created probably their biggest rival by just insulting them and flipping them the bird.
So that is interesting.
So they're talking with Sony about making a CD type system. Scratch it, go to Philips, and then what? Come out with 64?
Well, they came out with they licensed their characters to Philips for the CDI, which were some of the worst games ever, because you had the two Zelda, I think it was 3 Zelda games and a Mario game that they came out with on that.
So which bad.
Hold on, what system?
The Philips CDI.
I don't even know that system on top of my head.
It's just a bunch of bad games. You don't even have to know about it.
Yeah, it didn't do that well. It didn't do well.
No.
And like I said, the Zelda games on there, like fans just...
It was like an animated... It was like an animated game, right?
Yeah, it's
Zelda
not even...
games, it was...
It's not even like considered canon. Everybody's just like, it doesn't exist.
If I'm not wrong, they had a lot of learning-based games on there, right?
Yeah.
They had a couple of religious games on there, right?
So it doesn't...
I heard it was like really... It was...
Yeah. So... Wasn't really a good move for Nintendo, you think? But it's interesting to think about, though. I wonder what things would be like had they actually had an agreement that worked for both of them, and they stuck with it.
There might have been a super system.
Yeah, like would Sony have even come out with the PlayStation eventually? Would they have just stuck to being a third party? Creating games and peripherals. I mean, if it was if it was very successful.
I mean, in the long run, you look at what we got out now, it worked out pretty well. I mean, PlayStation's doing really good.
Oh, it worked out for them, great.
Nintendo is doing very, very good, too.
Oh, yeah.
If not better.
But it's but it's just funny that they created probably their biggest rival by just insulting them. Instead, because I mean when PlayStation came out. And then PlayStation 2 and all, that was big. I mean, they were
they were
crushing
big systems.
Nintendo.
It made me sell my Nintendo.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
He sold his
That's how it
Nintendo.
works.
See that? Nintendo lost him at one point for a while.
Dude, if you find that stuff dusted in your attic, I will give you a big kiss.
Where?
I hope that'll be on the show.
Oh yeah, I'll make him kiss me on the show. Damn straight. But I don't know if I got it.
That's interesting, though.
I thought that was. And I never knew that until I just recently looked it up, and I was like,